4 souls on death's calendar, 4 clocks winding down. There's a man in a golden tower with blood on his executive pen, who tears children from mothers and calls concentration camps as patriotic again. I watch him sign away my neighbor's health care while he golfs through another day. A Canadian watching American cruelty, wondering why monsters get to stay. His lies pile up like bodies, and I'm tired of the weight. This orange-stained embarrassment to the human race. Every morning checking headlines, hoping for that final cardiovascular call. Waiting for him to die isn't wishing, it's just watching gravity finally take us all. Waiting for him to die, waiting for him to die. Not with my hands, but with my hope. Not with a weapon, but a prayer to cope. Waiting for him to die. Death leans back in his leather chair, fingers steepled with patient glee. Such rage sustains the living, he whispers, but this one ripens beautifully for me. He watches the cholesterol reports, the mounting stress, the age. Politicians make the finest harvest, such delicious earned rage. My boy turned 24 last Tuesday with a needle as his birthday gift. 9 years since 15 when he chose the streets over every hand we tried to lift. The system keeps him fed and sheltered while he milks another bleeding heart. But age out's coming like a freight train, and he hasn't even learned to start. He's smart enough to manipulate, but not enough to see that taking leaves you empty at the end of your spree. I love him more than breathing, but I'm bracing for the call. My son is waiting for himself to die and doesn't know it yet at all. Waiting for him to die, waiting for him to die. Not with my hands, but with my dread. Now with abandonment, but love that's bled. Waiting for him to die. Death walks the alleys where the boy scores his temporary peace. The young ones always think they're dancing, never see him cutting the lease. He knows the statistics, the overdose rates, the winter cold. My father had a stroke 2 years ago that took the tyrant, left a ghost. The man who terrorized my childhood now weighs 95 at most. I stayed away for 20 years, but now I bring him Sunday coffee and I read the shriveled gentle stranger in a bed being spoon-fed. He smiles when we arrive and sometimes says our names. My brother and I tend to him and feel the strangest grateful shame that it took his near destruction for us to finally be a family. Waiting for him to die with unexpected love and loyalty. Waiting for him to die, waiting for him to die. Not with my hands, but with relief. Not with cruelty, but complicated grief. Waiting for him to die. Death sits beside the hospital bed, holding the old man's chart. Some souls are taking violence, but this one's art. There's a guy who stares back at me who's 52 and out of cards to play. 1,000 resumes sent nowhere while his mother pays his way. His kids have no use for him as partners, just going through the motions now. A middle-aged white male who can't figure out the how. 3 children who moved on, a love that's lost its heat. A father playing failure on an endless loop repeat. If I ever wrote that suicide note, it would say it had its moments, I suppose. Waiting for him to die is just me watching someone I used to know decompose. Waiting for him to die, waiting for him to die, waiting for me to die, Not with my hands, but with this ghost. Not with a rope, but with the slow fade coast. Waiting for him to die, waiting for us all to die. Death closes his book and smiles at the symmetry of form. It had its moments,